Hey guys, and welcome along to This Week in Photography, tenting manfully in some casual slacks like a nervous tourist accidentally discovering the nudie beach. Every week, or thereabouts, I take a look at interesting stories happening in the photographic world. I put them under a scanning electron microscope, and I identify some of the bullshit behind the headlines. And in this week's show, fuck me, Christmas must be coming. That's 3 brand new action cameras in a week. On one, announced Photo Raw 2023. The Drone Photography Awards are announced, and AI is diverted from the search for a cure for cancer to scan street surveillance footage for Instagrammers. Yes, I stayed up late just to watch the live launch videos for the new action cameras. It was just me and apparently 3,000 technology-obsessed delivery drivers who'd pulled over in a lay-by to get off on some launch day tech porn and spam the chat box with aubergine emojis. I talked about the groovy new Insta360 X3 last week, and now both DJI and GoPro have laid their cards on the table and ushered their latest creations out onto the world stage just in time for the build-up to the holiday season. First out of the starting gate was DJI, who pulled back the beef curtains to showcase the Osmo Action 3. What with the DJI Avatar last week and their all-new action camera this week, I suspect that DJI's name may well have supplanted that of Nintendo or Nike on the Christmas lists of the next generation of content creators. I do envy them getting a DJI Avatar in their Christmas stockings, when at the same age I got a Rubik's Cube, the hardback edition of the Guinness Book of Records, and a Satsuma. You got to hand it to DJI though, their products are typically excellent, and they're pretty high up on this big kid's Christmas list too. So, as had been widely leaked prior to today, the new DJI action camera is officially called the Osmo Action 3, and DJI jointly announced its arrival on the world stage with a simultaneous release of a free marketing video from each of the top 300 influencers on YouTube. And you can of course gauge the importance that each manufacturer places upon a particular feature by the point at which it appears in the running order in the old launch video. And so we can surmise that DJI reckon their improved mounting system is pretty fucking ace. This revised, partially magnetic system enables you to mount the camera horizontally or vertically with great ease. It also features a new quick release design which they describe as rock solid. Now, they probably use the words rock solid because one of the flaws of the DJI Action 2 was it was far too easy to dislodge camera from mount by accidentally pressing one of those side clips. Call me cynical if you like, but every time there's a new mount system released, I also imagine the backstreet accessory manufacturers of Shenzhen gleefully rubbing their hands together. The Osmo Action 3 can shoot in 4K at 120 FPS, and it's this feature that I suspect is going to create the biggest stir with the action/adventure crowd, since it means they'll be able to film some epic super slow-mo of attractive young women in bikinis in a proper grown-up resolution. The footage in the launch video and the stuff I've seen elsewhere does look good. Crisp, vibrant and not oversaturated. Pixel peeping the launch video, I thought the footage looked good right to the edge of the 155-degree field of view of the camera's lens. And I'm not sure which sensor it is, but it sure as fuck can't be the one seemingly hewn from potatoes that they stuck in the Avatar. Amongst the Action 3's other selling points are Rocksteady 3 video stabilization, wind noise reduction and InvisiStick, which is a mode that magically removes your selfie stick and not a new adult subgenre on Pornhub. DJI also made a big play about the durability of the camera and in particular its ability to remain functional at temperatures as low as minus 20 degrees C. They made no mention of the operator functioning at temperatures as low as minus 20 degrees C. And they've included a number of innovative new features designed to woo the snorkel and scuba crowd. It has a colour sensor that can compensate for colour tone changes underwater. It can go to 16 meters deep without a case, and it has a hydrophobic screen. That last one's a crowd pleaser and will appeal to anyone that's ever tried to use a touchscreen with salty wet fingers, such as divers and amateur porn producers. At release, the Action 3 can shoot only in 8-bit, but in typical DJI fashion, we've been vaguely told that a firmware update will be available at some point in the future to enable 10-bit video. And this is important because the GoPro 11 launches with 10-bit video, and it may well have been a determining factor in people's purchasing decisions. 10-bit means increased dynamic range and has been towards the top of many an action cam user's wish list. Here in Australia, the Osmo Action 3 starts at 519 Australian dollars, that's 320 US, for the basic combo, which is a competitive price and one that's certain to prove problematic to GoPro. And speaking of GoPro, yes, just 1 hour after DJI's launch, GoPro revealed their launch video for the GoPro Hero 11. And if they were hoping to instantly win over the crowd with a vastly superior product, then based on what I was seeing in the old chat box, they failed. The short launch video concluded to a global meh, and it certainly seemed to me like GoPro had not done well from batting second. Personally speaking, I wasn't surprised in the slightest when the 11 was unveiled with the same familiar form factor that they've used since the Hero Black 5. It's a form factor that's worked for GoPro from the very beginning after all. And here it is. I'm only joking. This is my trusty old Hero 5 Black. This is the last GoPro I ever bought, and which, incidentally, is in perfect working order and has never missed a beat, unlike my Insta360 1R, which shits itself when the wind changes direction. Now, in some ways, GoPro are in the same boat as Apple. GoPro invented the action camera sector in the same way that Apple did with the smartphone, and as both companies have slowly iterated to a generic template of design and features that have been found to work well for their customers, everyone accuses them of failing to innovate. The one more thing days are behind Apple, just as they are with GoPro, and feature upgrades are incremental, not groundbreaking. That being said, the marquee feature on the Hero 11 is that upgrade to 10-bit colour. And as I mentioned earlier, 10-bit video has a vastly improved colour range, measuring the billions rather than 8-bits millions. 10-bits virtually meaningless for the viewer, of course, since the vast majority of devices that we view videos on are 8-bit. But it's during the edit process that 10-bit is important, because it means you can find extra detail at the margins of the histogram and avoid things like banding in the sky when you're adjusting brightness or contrast. The Hero 11 Black has a much larger 27 megapixel sensor than the 10 and can shoot 5.3K video up to 60 FPS and 2.7K at 20 FPS. This new larger sensor has an 8:7 ratio, which it of course crops into for that traditional 16:9 ratio footage such as 4K or 1080p. But the area above or below that 16:9 frame is used for the new Hypersmooth 5 stabilization. In some ways, GoPro have gone the same way as DJI for this iteration of the Hero series, in that they're making a lot of noise about durability, particularly in the extreme cold. However, the Hero 11 cannot go as deep without a case as the Osmo Action 3, maxing out at 10 meters, while the Osmo is good for 16. These figures are important if you were choosing a camera for scuba. The standard PADI open water scuba qualification qualifies you to go down to 18 meters, and so the Osmo would make much more sense than the GoPro. And in terms of screen, DJI definitely got one over on GoPro, since both the front and rear screens on the Osmo are touchscreens, while only the large rear screen is a touchscreen on the Hero 11. GoPro did include some fairly epic features on the Hero 11 you won't find on the Osmo. These include a hindsight feature that captures up to 30 seconds of footage before you press record so you don't miss out on any epic moments. There's also a scheduled capture option which lets you dial in a time to begin a time lapse, meaning you can sleep in while the Hero 11 scores an epic sunrise for you. Here in Australia, the Hero 11 Black starts at 649 Australian dollars, that's 400 US, if you also get that 1 year GoPro subscription. So it's $130 more expensive than the new Osmo. After spending far too long pixel peeping the footage that various influencers have shared, I must admit I greatly preferred the GoPro's output, which, thanks to that 10-bit sensor, had way more detail at either end of the histogram. I hope you're listening, Santa. Without doubt, one of the most competitive sectors in the software market is the RAW photo editor. It's been a long time since Adobe were the only game in town, and applications such as Capture One continue to tempt photographers to migrate to their platform. Like many developers, On1 have fully embraced everything AI, and their flagship application, Photo RAW, is no exception to that rule. The company recently announced a point release upgrade to Photo RAW, which will be available in October. On1 Photo RAW 2023's marquee feature is the Super Select AI tool. As you might have guessed, this is an AI-enabled masking tool which lets you quickly select all the main elements of a photograph. Unlike Lightroom, which can only select the sky via AI masking, Photo RAW can select the sky, the ground, people, objects, background, and foreground. On1 have leveraged this AI selection and masking tool to introduce new adaptive presets. These give you one-click fixes for things like dark foregrounds. Alongside the presets, other AI-enabled tools include TackSharp AI for removing noise and blur, Keyword AI, which automatically adds keywords to your metadata, SkySwap AI, and a content-aware crop. If you've been looking to get out of Adobe's subscription model, then applications such as Photo RAW 2023 are a compelling alternative, particularly with all those time-saving AI tools. On1 Photo RAW 2023 costs $99 US for a full non-subscription license, and is therefore considerably cheaper than any of Adobe's Creative Cloud subscription packages. If you don't need Lightroom's library functionality, then it's well worth a look. Another week, another photo competition. This one's a bit closer to my heart than the other near identical yawn fests though, because this is the Drone Photo Awards. This award always seems to attract a high quality of images, and this year's finalists are no exception. The creme de la creme of the drone photo world, the Photo of the Year 2022, was awarded to Armand Sarlong. Armand's shot of an Icelandic volcano is either like staring into the eye of Sauron itself or the wife's mother after she's had one too many sherries. I'm not sure which. And this is precisely the kind of photography that drones excel at. They enable you to put a camera in a location that could never have previously been envisioned and take beautiful high-resolution images. The remainder of the photographs selected as finalists are of a similarly high quality, and you should check them all out. I particularly liked David Rouge's shot, which took out the nature category title. His image, taken high above the South Atlantic Ocean, is a brilliantly trippy shot that at first glance looks like some mountainous vertical dune, but then you notice the waves on the ocean and realise that it's actually a bomb shot. Big shout out also to local legend Jim Pico, who scored a commended award for his shot of an alien mothership looking storm cell up in the northern beaches. And finally, congratulations to the Belgian artist Dries de Porter for managing to simultaneously illustrate how cool AI is and also how we've all sleepwalked into a 1984 star surveillance society. Yes, AI can be used for a multitude of purposes, including such noble efforts as the search for a cure for cancer. It can also be trained to scan urban surveillance footage for people looking to take a selfie on Instagram. I'm honestly not sure whether to be impressed by Dries' The Follower project or horrified. What he did was record footage from street cameras which were publicly accessible. Then he scanned Instagram for the locations in that surveillance footage. Then he had an AI machine learning system scan both the footage and the Instagram location hashtags looking for a match. And what do you know, the AI managed to successfully locate large numbers of people in the act of taking a selfie, which Dries then married up with that exact image on Instagram. And while this is an amusing story and an interesting use for publicly available resources, consider for a second how apparently easy it was for Dries to do this. One bloke at home with a laptop, and then imagine what kind of toys the governments of the world have got to play with. Oh, and maybe don't get your tits out for that next Instagram selfie. And that's it for this week, guys. Are you in the market for a new action camera? Or is your current one gathering dust because you realise that the only white knuckle adventure in your life is raiding the fridge at 2 AM and trying not to wake up your partner? Have you taken an Instagram selfie lately, or do you just prefer to casually insert yourself into the background and sabotage other people while they're giving it the old duck face? Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe for more regular updates and generalised photography bollocks from me. Till the next time, guys, ta-ta.